to Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan, the golf instruction podcast that helps you take control of your game. Now, here's your host, the founder of Par Breakers Golf Academy and certified Golf Channel Swing Fix instructor, Bernard Sheridan.
Online, I allow for it to go offline. So, for example, a baseball player with a ball thrown low and outside is more likely going to push it, or a right-hander is going to hit it to right field. And that's a weaker field for the player to hit to. A stronger field to hit to is for a right-hander is left field. So pulls are stronger and fades and pushes are weaker. And so a lot of conditions on the golf course suggest that the ball is going to go to the fade or push side. And one major one that I see a lot of players failing on is hitting a 3-wood in the fairway on par 5s. You're hitting a 3-wood in many cases off a non-level lie with perhaps a tight lie involved, and chances are that ball's going to slice or push or go to the right.
Sure. So, and of course, because a 3-wood has a lot less loft, that's going to up that variable even more. Right.
And so some people say, well, I'm not ready to learn this sort of thing. And I say, well, you're on the golf course and you're facing it. So, I even put beginners on side hill lies. I think of it as a macro approach versus a micro approach. So I want people learning from the start that they're going to be facing these things. Now, for a beginner, I don't necessarily teach them all of what to do and all of what's going to happen. I just tell them that they're going to face this and the ball's going to go offline. And so what I tell them to do is realign and allow it to go offline. I want predictability. And so anything that goes against the conditions. So for example, you have the ball slightly below your feet, but the green and the pin calls for a high draw. Well, that's not that predictable. That's suggesting that you're going against the conditions, and that's not going to happen. Now with beginners and macro approach, I just put them on these lies. They're going to face them. And one player said, well, I'm not ready for it. And I say, well, you're going to face it, and if I don't show you what happens, you're going to fail. So if I know you're going to fail, do you want to know that? And the player said yes. And I said, okay, then we're going to do this.
Sure. So when you bring this program to the students, or because I know that, because I of course I see what's going on social media, and I see some of the posts that you make, and that's kind of how I found you originally, was through social media. That's how I found most of the people who I interview here, and have become friendly with them via that way. But I think originally I found you doing a search on different programs and certifications and things like that.
Right.
And then I spoke to you, and then I connected with you through social media. But I've seen that you've taken this this particular program out of the States, down under into Australia, and I'm not sure whether you've taken it anywhere else outside the country. But when you do that, is the program a one-on-one type thing, or is it usually it's like a class where there's a good amount of people, and then wherever you're going, you're incorporating other instructors to help you if there's more people, things like that?
Right. The G.P.S. program, it's called the Golfer Positioning System, and I've developed an academy with that called the G.P.S. Players Academy. And I travel with that academy to different professionals, and I teach not only the professionals but the amateurs how to do it. And when I travel to Australia, for example, we do usually about 3 academies a week for about a month. And we get anywhere between 4 and, say, a dozen players involved. And we do about, well, actually we do either 9 or 18 holes on the golf course. And we show them what's going to happen. We don't play for score, we play for performance. So we give them extra opportunities from different locations to show them what's going to happen, what's most predictable from these positions. And so I've been to Australia and Tasmania and Canada and the Western United States with the Academy. And what it really shows is that technology is great, but if you blame all your problems on technology, you're not really playing golf. So being on the golf course is the ultimate acid test of any teaching program or professionals' work, is what happens on the golf course. So in certifying these professionals, generally speaking, we do an academy, several academies, and in the process we teach the players, we do hands-on learning for both the players and the pros to learn the system.
So now for the players are essentially gathering this information, understanding how to utilize it on the golf course, and the professionals are learning how to, when you're not there, teach this program to other students who weren't in the program when it was initially taught. So now they can do other programs or continue to do this throughout the year, run classes that basically use the same information for those students, correct?
Right. So the Australians bring me in, and then they reap the benefits of the residuals by increasing what they can teach and how they teach it, and also increase their client base through this process.
Sure. Now, as for the program itself, what is the average length of the program? Is it a 1-week program? Is it a 3-day program? Is it and how many hours a day are you guys, other than, you know, I know that there's playing time too, and that can actually probably take up to 2 or 3 hours just to do 9 holes if you're working with different students on different things, as opposed to a normal round, which would take like maybe 2.5 hours for 9 holes.
Right. So on an individual basis, I usually work between 1 and 2 hours with an individual through a package or a program. And when I'm working with professionals, we usually do half-day academies. So anywhere from 3.5 to 5 hours of work, trying to get the players to understand what's most likely going to happen. And in that process, it gives the pros the background necessary to continue the process with the players. So with each academy, we usually do half-day academies. Now, in late February, I'm headed back to Australia, and we have a 4-day academy that we're doing in Tasmania. So it's going to be at Barnbougle Dunes, and we have usually 5 pros and 15 amateurs to that program. And we do 4 days of work with the professionals and with the amateurs through that process.
So if it was like, let's say that you came out to Pennsylvania where I am, and I had a couple of pros and from different courses, and we went to one course and we were going to do the program, and we brought in students and things like that. For the students, is that just like a 1-day program then? That's what I'm trying to get at here. Or would it be a 4-day program for them?
It could be either.
It could be either.
Yeah, it's scalable. Okay.
So depending upon what wants to be worked on, or how in depth you want to go, you can do it as like anywhere from 1 to 4 days.
Right.
Okay.
So it's scalable, and it's at the discretion of the professional. So depending, what I do is I send out a sample
Your audio just dropped a little bit, so I'm not sure whether it's... There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, repeat what you just said.
So it's scalable, so I can send out well, for example, I have the G.P.S. Playbook, which is a 13-page program, and it depends on how in-depth you want to go. So I can send that out along with schedules and time frames and allow the professionals to decide how long they want to do it. 4 days is a lot if you have a small group, but if you have a golf, a destination where you want to play golf and put it to the test, it's a good way to do it.
So like this time of year, let's say that myself, another professional from, let's say, the Philadelphia area, and we say, okay, we're all going to do it in Florida, and then we would fly you in, and then we would do the program at a golf course in Florida, and then make it more of like a destination type thing.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a bigger program that you could work for 4 days or so.
Right. So for the listeners out there, what is the best way for them if they want to do this program one-on-one with you to get in touch with you, and where would they go to do that, for our listeners?
Well, I live and work in Eugene, Oregon, so I'm a little off the beaten path in terms of Arizona and California and Florida. But I work at a course called River Ridge Golf Course in Eugene, and we have 36 holes. We have a 9-hole short course, a 9-hole executive course, and an 18-hole regulation course, along with a big driving range. And so I do that there 7 to 8 months a year, and then I travel to Australia for a couple of months each year. And so in Australia, I work out of Sydney with a group called Absolute Golf, and it's a couple of friends that professional friends that have taught this way, and they liked what I had and they liked my organization. So we got together about 5 years ago. So I'm working out of Sydney. I do get to Melbourne a little bit, and of course the Tasmania trip. But for the most part, one-on-one, I'm in Eugene, Oregon.
So if they were going to try to get in touch with you, is there a website that they should go to find out more about this? Is there a email? The best to get in touch with you via email or to call you, or what's the best way for them to
call me, email me, website. My phone number is 541-749-8253. And my email address is golfsavvy@msn.com. That's golfsavvy@msn.com. And my website is golfecoach.com.
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 Okay, great. So this was very informative, Bob, and I thank you so much for being a guest. There's a lot of information there, and it's a great way for students to better understand the game and to better be able to take what they learn and actually implement it on the golf course. So it's a real good idea, and I think that a lot more professionals should be doing that. I think there's a good amount who teach on the course, but I don't think that they really do it as a practice type thing and using uneven lies and things like that a lot.
Yeah, I've found that to be true, and what I found is if the pros don't go watch the player play, then I'm not sure they know how the player is playing, and it also calls into question whether they know how well their work is doing.
Sure.
So I want to know what happens on the golf course, and that leads me in a lot of different directions for teaching.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, and it was a pleasure having you, and I wish you all the best in all your endeavors. And as we say here at Breaking Par, try to keep it in the short grass.
Keep it in the short grass because it's more predictable.
There you go. All right, thanks, Bob, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All righty, bye-bye.